Hello everyone, my name is Nikki. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to all the books that I read in the month of February. I am so happy to be done with this month. This month has felt so long, and I actually think it's one of the worst reading months I've ever had. It's not that the books were bad, I just wasn't obsessed with any of them. There were some disappointing reads, like books I was really anticipating that I just didn't like. So we're gonna talk about them. Oh my gosh, I forgot a book. Hold on. So it's not the best reading month at all. I also was super busy between working at the news station, school, struggling a little bit in that aspect, and then I also work at Target. Why is it asking for my birthday? Very toxic of you. Bam. Look at all the books I read. Okay, so I started this month off with a book that was released in late January, and I knew I wanted to pick it up. I was excited to pick it up. I wasn't completely super anticipating it. Going into it, I was mid about it, but I was excited to see how the story would continue, and I knew that people would be uploading spoiler reading vlogs, so that was also a big factor in me picking the book up. That book is A House of Flame and Shadow. This is the third book in the Crescent City universe, and I really like the Crescent City universe. The first book is my favorite, called House of Flame and Shadow. I just really love that one. That was my favorite because you had the aspect of a murder mystery in there. Okay, so this whole series, you're really following the main characters, Bryce and Hunt. And Bryce is half fae, and I don't even know how they explain the story, but the world is set in this Siberian fantasy where it's mixed with these fantasy creatures and humans, so fairies, and there's no fairies but these fae lives among the humans, and this is the third book in the series. People were really excited going into this book, not only because it's a new release from Sarah J Maas, who has become super popular in fantasy, well, romance fantasy, I guess, but also because the way the second book ends, she introduced characters from other books doing this kind of big crossover. That's what everybody was expecting going into this book. This was this supposed to be a major crossover. It was Infinity War for books. Reading this book, I was a little disappointed in the fact that I wasn't obsessed with it like the other books. Even though I didn't enjoy the second as much as the first, I didn't care about the plot, but I cared about the characters, so I still read it super fast. This book took me so long to get to, and it's kind of ridiculous how long this took me. It was the first time I feel I read a book where I just did not care about the character, the main character, Bryce. In the other books, she was fine. For some reason, she just really annoyed me in here. And I think it's very similar to the character Aelin and her Throne of Glass series, always coming up with plans. And I like the way that it's written for that character in Throne of Glass, but in here it felt more she pretends to be stupid, she pretends to be this way, and then ah ha ha, she knew the whole time what was going on, really. And I don't know why, but it always got on my nerves. Her story was just really boring, and the whole thing with the crossover is more of a cameo. The characters that are brought into this book really don't serve a purpose in the plot. They really did not need to be there. These side characters carried this book. The other books I hated Therion. I didn't hate him, I just didn't care about his little drama he was going with, but the side characters were just so much more interesting than the main characters, and I felt there wasn't a lot of action scenes. It was very anticlimactic for the ending. I just didn't really like it. And also, this book does a lot of you think that your world building would be almost to an end or somewhat, but there's still a lot of world building in here, but it's more about the history of the Fae, and I just don't really care about that because it doesn't really impact the characters personally, I guess. I don't know, I just didn't really like this book. I give it a 3 out of 5 because I did enjoy some parts. I didn't enjoy the side characters, just not the two main characters. For some reason I just wasn't excited with them. I think that's it for this book, but I did give it 3 out of 5. And there might be another book in the series. I'm pretty sure Bryce and Hunt's story is done, but she might do an additional book, but I believe it'll be from a different house. And I don't know if I'll read it because, like, honestly, this took me a minute to get through. But I do love the cover. Oh, also, I was in denial about one of my characters being in this book, and it's the character from Throne of Glass. And I was like, there's no way, like, I don't even see how this can connect to Throne of Glass, because I also spent, like, this last year of 2023, like, rereading ACOTAR. I finally read Throne of Glass, loved Throne of Glass, kind of, like, going into this series, or to read this release. I even re-listened to a House of Fire and Blood. Anyway, I was, like, in complete denial during the whole entire book about this character showing up, and she never did. I guess from Target, and there was, like, this big thing how, like, different stores would have different bonus chapters. The book that I got from Target, I got this when it was released. Like, I went there at 8 a.m. I don't have any bonus chapters. Like, it just ends. I know other people have bonus chapters, so I think that's, like, the character was in the bonus chapter is my guess. I'm kind of upset that I just didn't love it. While I was reading House of Flame and Shadow, like, I literally put this book down for, like, a few days, and that's very not normal for me to do. Like, if I pick a book, I usually have to, like, read it and see how it ends. Like, it's very rare for me to go days without, like, picking up the book again. But since I was bored with it and, like, I wasn't really into it, I did pick up the romance book, Hockey Romance. I read the first book last month. So this month, I picked up 8 Weeks, which is the only reason I know about the series is because I saw a TikTok, and this, like, adorable TikTok. It was screaming childhood friends to lovers. I was like, I want to pick this up. Noticed it was part of a series. I read the first book first. Shocked that I love that book so much. I loved it. And I picked up the second book, which is the TikTok video I saw, called 8 Weeks. You meet these, like, characters in the first book, which is called 9 Days. Is Lily, and her twin brother is in the book. Aaron and Sophia, who used to be best friends with his sister. She moves back to Germany, and it's, like, these childhood friends and lovers. Like, they used to be super close when they were younger. They were, like, really attached. They had a thing when they were, like, 8 years old, and then she moved away to Germany. So that's, like, the whole thing about it. But I just did not enjoy this book. I'm so upset I did not enjoy this book. I remember reading, like, the first 20 pages, and, like, she comes back, and they both know they're obsessed with each other. So I'm like, I feel like you could literally wrap this book up in 2 pages. I don't know, this book really just annoyed me. Also, I was expecting it to be more hockey based. There was, like, no hockey. Don't even call it a hockey romance. But I thought it would have a lot more to do with hockey, because in the first book, they mentioned him, like, being drafted to the NFL, and, like, he's in the process of that, like, it's top secret. So I was expecting some of that, but really, the whole book takes place in Germany. Aaron follows her, like, during Christmas break. That's, like, a large part of the book. It's like a movie or TV show when, like, the whole thing takes place on vacation. That's really what it was. I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy it. I didn't love it. There were, like, some cute moments in there every once in a while. But also, there's, like, this whole thing, she's like, oh, I can't, like, be with him because, like, I'm not gonna be here. And I don't know why she came back to the US. Yeah, it was rough. Anyway, I did give it 2 stars because, like I said, there were some cute moments, but I just didn't really like it. And then I picked up, this is my most anticipated read all month. I was super excited. My boyfriend bought the book for me because he knows how much I want to read it. If only I had told her. So I read the first book, If Only I'd Been With Me, last year. Absolutely love it. It's about these 2 high schoolers, like, going through high school, and they have, like, this secret romance between each other. Like, they're both obsessed with each other, but they just don't know it. And it was, like, the cutest thing ever. It was only from An's perspective, and I loved it. It was just so entertaining. It was so fun. And now that book, there is something that happens to one of the characters, and you know it immediately within the first chapter. So you go through the whole entire book until you reach that moment. And the second book is following the Finney's perspective, was what I thought. I was told this book followed Finney's perspective, and no. I was so excited going into this book. I was excited to get Finney's perspective, and you do get his perspective for, like, the first 100 pages, but I don't know what is about his perspective. Like, I didn't love it the way that he, like, was kind of, like, talking about Autumn. It wasn't as cute as it, like, in her perspective, I guess. I don't know, I just didn't love the way that they're talking about Autumn. And it was, like, it's like the end of the first book is in his perspective and the incident happens, and then it's switched between perspective of Finney, his best friend Jack, and then you do get Autumn's perspective. But this whole book, it just felt like a giant epilogue. I really wish that the characters Jack and Autumn would have connected more. It's basically following the characters after what happened in the incident, how they're dealing, and like where they are now. And I just didn't really like it. There wasn't a plot, like I said. It was very slow. It's very like mundane things going on. There's no romance. There's like barely anything that's happening. Didn't like it, and I thought it was actually really boring. It was very difficult for me to get through this book. I really thought it was going to be the exact same story as if only had been with me, just in Finney's perspective, which I think I would have liked more. I just didn't like it. Yeah, I give this a 1 star. I finished Infernal Devices last month, and I'm continue reading Cassandra Clare books. I am following the chronological order, so next in that order is Chain of Gold, which is actually, it was so much fun, and it was definitely a nice refresher between the recent books I was reading. I read it on my iPad, and I actually enjoyed this book so much. A few years later, and all your main characters from Infernal Devices are now adults, and they have children, and you're following all the children in this book. It's your, like, I want to say it's traditional fantasy, where it's third perspective, but you have perspective from multiple characters that breaks mid-paragraphs. And I actually really like the way that she writes it. I think I wasn't sure about Infernal Devices because, I don't know. Anyway, so I picked up Chain of Gold, and like I said, you have all the children from the main characters from Infernal Devices. I don't really know how to explain this book, but essentially, one of the characters, her name is Cordelia Carstairs, I think is her name. I believe it's Jem's niece. It's Jem's brother's daughter. So Cordelia's father is being accused of a crime, and so she returns to London. She reunites with all her childhood best friends, which includes Lucy and James, who are the daughters of Tessa and Will. And okay, all the characters have such interesting plot lines in here. There's Thomas, there's Christopher. Oh, I just love it. And I love like the family bonding you're getting from all these different characters. And I love like every character has like their own plots that will all connect with each other. So you're following all these different children. You're following as they're learning to become shadow hunters. They're like around the age of like 15, 17. So around there's romance in this book. It's late 1800s. It's like Bridgerton times Supernatural. And that's why I freaking loved it. I thought it was a good start for the series. I'm not sure like how long this series is or whatever, but it is a good start. And I give it a 4 out of 5. I truly enjoyed it. I think it was just really good at setting it up for like the next book that's coming out. Not coming out. It's out. It's probably been here for like 10 years. I'm very excited. Chain of Iron I'll be reading next. I just love them. And I love Cordelia and Matthew. Love him. And then next, honestly, the book that saved this whole entire month, which is Prince Jackie Laura. So this is the second book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which I was surprised how much I love that book. I just love it so much. So you're following Audrey Rose and Thomas, Thomas is adorable. The characters are going to an academy to learn more about, I forget what it's called. They both had an apprenticeship under Audrey Rose's uncle to observe the science of dead bodies, like to figure out how people died. Essentially a coroner. They just didn't have that title back in this time period. It's like late 1800s where, you know, women still have to like seem ladylike, court, like they have to court. They like be very careful of their reputation so they're not ruined. Anyway, so they go to this academy to learn. People die in mysterious ways. Their blood is drained from their bodies, and Audrey Rose and Thomas decide that they want to track down and like see what's happening themselves. Now this book, there's not a lot of action, let's say, but it's more of a adventurous book. Like they're tracking down Prince Jackie Laura. It's very interesting. I just love the writing. It's so much fun. I love these books, and I cannot wait to continue the next one. This one is definitely a 5 out of 5. Like, I just freaking love Audrey Rose and Thomas. They're just so freaking cute. And then I also picked up an audiobook called Check and Mate. I've heard about this book a lot recently because it's written by Ali Hazelwood. It's her first YA book, and I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I love Hypothesis. I love on the Brain. So I picked this one up. I knew it involved chess. I've heard it was a lot about chess. I don't know a lot about chess. Okay, like don't ask me questions. I don't know how to play it. But going to this book, it's about the main character, Mallory, who she is 17. She's in high school and she has forgo. She says she'll never play chess again because of something that happened in her life that has really traumatized her, and now she's graduated high school, but she stays at home to provide for her family, and she like works these full-time jobs, blah blah. Her friend Easton tells her to go to this tournament, it's for charity, and she ends up playing the main character Nolan, who's like #1 in the chess world, and she ends up beating him. Like from then on, he's obsessed with her. Now, it sounds like I'm New York City, because can you hear that? Anyway, I didn't really like this book. I felt like it was like way too heavy on the chess, which it would have been fine, but like the romance, or wasn't a lot to the romance, which I was very shocked at. I really did not care about the romance. I didn't even like the main character Nolan. Like he was mid, you know, there was nothing special about him. It was just, I don't know how to feel. And I didn't love the writing for also being YA. It was just like weird, like the things that she would bring up, like and I would forget these characters are like 18 years old, and the things she would say, I'm like, oh, like why are you judging him so harshly? Like it was just so weird, just the way that the character talked for being 18. I don't know, I didn't really like it. Like I said, it wasn't a lot for the romance either, which I was surprised by because it is essentially a romance book. And I don't know. Also, it could have been because I was reading as an audiobook, because it was very difficult for me to get into the book. I felt like the main character was like way too cringy. The sisters are annoying. But I will say, like, in the middle of the book, I was like really invested in the plot of her training, of her like training in chess and like for these tournaments. And I think I would have liked it better if the ending, like the whole book is leading to this giant tournament, and I feel like the ending, it ended very abruptly, and it didn't like feature the whole entire tournament, which is what you're doing. And I think it would have been better the romance had a little more of a role in it, 'cause I don't know, I felt like the romance wasn't a lot there, you know. Anyway, I think I did give it a 3 out of 5 just because I didn't hate it. I think it is a good book, but it was definitely like super heavy on the chess, and I wish my hockey romances were that heavy on hockey, because I would be loving that. Anyway, that's all the books I read in the month of February. It was a very, very rough month for me, as we can tell. But I'm excited for March. I have a lot of good reads I'm excited to read. Here are a few of them. I can't wait to read this. Gemini, Ruthless Vows. We even have a rom-com in here. We'll see if I enjoy it. But yeah, so that's it. I hope you guys really, really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Let's hope next time I'm not sick.